All right, guys, so in this lesson, we're stepping back into deceleration consolidation. This is part 2. So we already did part 1 a few lessons back, right? This is part 2, using multi-time frame analysis. Because in part 1, we never looked at deceleration consolidation using multi-time frame analysis, right? We just looked at what is deceleration, what is consolidation, right? Now, by using multi-time frame analysis, you can literally take it a step farther. You can pinpoint exactly why is the market consolidating, as an example, right? And how can you trade in a consolidating market? So multi-time frame analysis, by using the lower time frame. So now you guys know that multi-time frame analysis is confirming by using lower time frames. So if you have something on a higher time frame, by looking at a lower time frame, you're going to have a bigger picture, right? It's that metaphor where you have the top of the iceberg, right? Multi-time frame analysis is what happens below that iceberg, below the surface, which is so much more in depth, right? So this is going to be interesting, and it's going to give you a little bit more clarity. But this is, like I said, this is now the mastery. This is the advanced part of this course, and from this point on, we will just be building up on this concept, which is multi-time frame analysis, right? Into at the end when we hit the full package, right? So with that said, guys, let's have a look at deceleration and consolidation using multi-time frame analysis right now. All right, so right now we're going to be looking at the chart of ASI Swiss, and what I'm going to show you in this lesson is this is literally the part 2 to the lesson that we already had, the difference between deceleration and consolidation, okay? We're going to take it a step farther. And now, instead of looking at the difference between the two, is how to confirm whether it's actually consolidating and why price action is actually consolidating. That's the most important part. It's why is it consolidating? Many people don't know why it's consolidating, but you could, using multi-time frame analysis, you can easily figure out why it's consolidating and when the entry will come in, okay? So we're gonna have a look at this daily chart here on ASI Swiss. So you can see that overall ASI Swiss is quite choppy, okay? So choppy is just another word for consolidation. Okay, so it's quite choppy, it's just moving sideways. Monthly time frame, the weekly chart, has a little bit more, but it's nothing pretty, it's just moving sideways. Trading is all about pretty setups, at least the way I trade. I want the trade to be pretty, simple, clean, okay? Not a lot of noise, not a lot of chop, not a lot of consolidation. Simple, clean price action, okay? Makes things easier. And this is not it. This is quite choppy and it's consolidating. But why? Okay, so why is this part right here specifically? Okay, why is it consolidating? Let's focus on this recent price action, right? So it's not deceleration. This is pure consolidation because price action is just moving sideways. We just have sideways candlesticks for days, for weeks, 2 weeks or so. Just sideways movement here. So why is the question? Why is it moving sideways? So on a daily chart, we talked about it previously. Well, it's typically consolidating. Why? Because there's support. So we got support there. But support's a little bit lower. Major support is a little bit lower. So there's nothing major where price action is sitting at right now. It's more kind of minor support, right? So the major support is below. Do we have anything above? Well, not on this daily chart really. There might be like a couple of rejections here and there. Again, minor resistance. So why is it consolidating? Okay, so we need to dig farther. Let's have a look at the intraday charts for this. 4-hour time frame. Well, during that period in time, this was right here. What's holding price action? Why is it consolidating? Well, the 4-hour 50 has a few rejections here and there. But look at the 1-hour chart and look what we have. We have a beautiful descending triangle. So why was price action consolidating? Well, 1-hour chart was holding support during that time. Okay, this is again July 23rd, the first time I hit support. And when did that consolidation start? Let's have a look at the daily chart. July 23, right here. After this candle, pretty much we had sideways consolidation, right? So let's go back to the intraday charts. So we are holding that support. That's a support level. Price action started to hit this area and start to reject it. Then If it's consolidating, then that means there's a level from the bottom and from the top. Okay, so the level from the top is this descending trend line, which has 1, 2, 3, 4 really good rejections. Okay, so we have the descending trend line, we got the support, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, so really good rejections. That is why this daily price action is consolidating, period. Your question is now answered. Why is it consolidating? Well, the 1 hour chart is within a descending triangle, period. That is why it's consolidating. So when is it a good time to trade it? Well, the best time to trade it, now that we know why it's consolidating, well, for the next trading opportunity, we need to see a breakout out of that consolidation. So it's going to be hard to see that on a daily chart. Breakout is going to be massive and you're going to miss the opportunity. Okay, sometimes it's going to be consolidating. Like, this is not a good setup. It's not a good entry or anything like that. But sometimes it's going to be consolidating at a beautiful support level and you still might want to take that trade. Okay, so that is when you're going to start looking deeper and figure out why is it consolidating and when will it be the best time for me to enter. Okay, so in this case, why is it consolidating? It's consolidating because of this descending triangle. When is it going to be a good time to enter? When it breaks this triangle, either to the upside or to the downside, period. Okay, so in this case, it broke the triangle to the upside. It didn't offer a day trading opportunity for me to execute. It almost did. It looked very close to one of my strategies that I will teach you, but it didn't offer the opportunity. So there was no trade for me. The daily chart wasn't great anyway, but this is just a great example of daily consolidation being a triangle pattern on the 1 hour time frame. Now, it's not always going to be like this. Sometimes daily consolidation will be 1 hour intraday consolidation as well. Where the price action is just going to be moving sideways and it's going to be choppy on all time frames, the daily, the 4 hour, the 1 hour. So it's not always that you're going to have a pattern or some reason that price action is holding support or something. In this case, we do. So that is why, again, how you use multi-time frame analysis to see why something is consolidating, why a specific time frame is consolidating, and when the consolidation will end. So in this case, when will consolidation end? That answer is once it breaks out. That is when consolidation will end on a daily chart. Okay, so that should give you, a pretty good idea, but we're going to have a look at a few more examples. Okay, the next example that we're going to look at is ASI Kiwi. Okay, so ASI Kiwi. Now, this trade, we looked at it previously, this setup. We looked at this symmetrical triangle during the price action analysis lesson. But for now, let's look at the daily chart. Okay, so I want to focus on this period right here. See how price action is just moving sideways? We had a small bullish move to the upside, but mainly right here when it started hitting that 20 EMA. Okay, so this might be a good opportunity to the upside, but there's nothing happening. It's just consolidating on that 20 EMA. It means that it's holding something. It means that it's holding support, but it's also failing to go higher. Why? Okay, why doesn't it want to go higher? So when will it be the best time to enter if we want to take this long? Okay, so let's see if we even want to take it long. Do we have any analysis there? So no trend lines, delete them. We got the daily 50 EMA. Do we have any horizontal support in that region? Yep. Right there we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this consolidation area. Okay, so we got support. We got the daily 50 EMA. What about Fibonacci? And we got 0.3 to Fibonacci as well. Right, so it lines up. But it's still consolidating. So obviously you can draw in like a phase line. We'll be looking at phase lines later on, but phase line is just connect the highs and you get this line. It's kind of like a trend line, but a small phase line. That's what it's called. So once it breaks the phase line, yeah, you can go long, but this is inefficient because it gives you an entry that's too high. You can be much more accurate on when that consolidation finishes. You can always do this with consolidation. Just put a line kind of at the highs where it's consolidating. Once it breaks that consolidation, it's time to move. It's going to move in whichever direction. But you can be much more accurate if you look at a lower time frame using multi-time frame analysis. Okay, so let's look at the lower time frame and figure out why is this consolidating and when will be a good time to enter, okay, for a long trade, because this is giving us a potential bullish opportunity, specifically right here when we had this bullish engulfing. Okay, so looking at a 1 hour time frame or a 4 hour chart, in a 4 hour time frame, you can clearly see this is where it was consolidating. It's holding that 4 hour 50, right? It started to break out here, but overall later, as it started to hit that 20 EMA on the daily chart, it was just holding that 4 hour 50 EMA. Okay, so that's one reason why it's consolidating. Do we have support? Yeah, there's that support level that we saw on the daily chart as well. You know, so it's here on the 4 hour. So at the end of it all, what do we have? Do we have a triangle pattern? You know, we kind of have a triangle pattern here. So let's dig farther. What about the 1 hour chart? Here it is. I already drew it in, but there's that support. So why is it consolidating? Well, it's holding support, period. Okay, there's support. So obviously it does not want to go lower. It's holding support. But for consolidation to happen, that means there's something to the upside as well. And to the upside was this descending triangle. Price action did not want to break out of this descending triangle and that 4 hour 50 EMA. Okay, so when it was consolidating here on the daily time frame, it was consolidating for a reason. There was a reason why it was consolidating. That reason was, well, price action, the bears couldn't push it lower because of this support. The bulls couldn't push it higher because of this descending triangle. So we developed a triangle pattern, and price action was consolidating on a daily time frame, but on the intraday chart, it was just moving within this triangle pattern. So when is the good time to enter? Well, when it broke out. And this fit into one of my strategies. This fit into the CBO strategy that you guys will learn. And here it is. You know, it broke out, came back for an entry, came back for a retest. The 1 hour chart was quite choppy, you know, so some people maybe could have taken this trade long. I did not take it long. To me, the 1 hour chart was too choppy. At that point, I didn't want to go farther into the 5 minute time frame. But it was a great opportunity, and I missed a potentially a great trade, you know. But that's just because I was picky, and there's nothing wrong about being picky, because in my mind, there's always better opportunities. But, you know, that is why I was consolidating. And if you entered prior to that, because, you know, there's people who are going to enter before that because they don't know any better. You know, they see consolidation, they're like, okay, I'm going to jump into it. Okay. But when you start looking at multi-time frame analysis and look for multi-time frame confirmation, you can figure out why it's consolidating, find the levels that price action is rejecting to the upside and to the downside. Okay. Why is it rejecting those levels? And then your entry will come in once it breaks those levels. Okay. When it broke out here on the 31st, okay, that was the breakout. It broke out on the 31st of July. If you're looking at a daily time frame, well, the 31st of July was this candle. It was still within daily consolidation. It didn't break out that daily consolidation. That daily consolidation, remember, if you draw a phase line, that daily consolidation was broken on the 2nd. So if you just look at the daily time frame for an entry, you were 2 days late. You know, because looking at lower, there will be, guess what, within 1 day, there's 24 candles, 1 hour candles. Within one daily candle, there will be 24 1 hour candles. So more data, more price action. You can be much more accurate when it comes to your entries, right? And in this case, it broke out on the 31st and then retraced on the 1st of August for an entry long. Okay, so you were much earlier by looking at the intraday charts than if you were looking for a breakout on a daily time frame. Okay, so that's another example, and I hope that's starting to make sense. Let's have a look at one more. And for this example, we will be looking at dollar Swiss. All right, so dollar Swiss daily chart. Now you can clearly see that the monthly here, let's see what's going on. The monthly here is giving us a rejection. It's holding this resistance, but otherwise it's not really doing much. It's giving us these dojis, right? So we learned about dojis. These are kind of like dojis / shooting stars, high test, bearish high test, right? So it's decelerating and it's rejecting that resistance on a monthly. On a weekly, well, you got chop, you got consolidation. Price action is moving sideways, right? So we can't really go short based on that monthly rejection, even though it's not the best setup. I'm just using this as an example. Now the daily time frame, go a little bit farther, and why is it consolidating? Why is the weekly chart consolidating? Well, check out the daily chart. It's holding the daily 50 MA. That's your reason why. Why is it consolidating? Well, it does not want to break this daily 50. That's a lot of consolidation here. Let's go farther. Okay, can we find something on a lower time frame? Because at this point we got nothing. So on the lower time frame, 4-hour chart, well, this is just a disaster. I would call this a disaster. There's no clear pattern. There's support here, so we do have horizontal support, but other than that, there's really not much. There's that resistance, so here's part of the reason why it's consolidating. Okay, so sure, you can enter when it starts to break down or when it starts to break out, but that's just a lot of consolidation on a 4-hour chart too. And the 1-hour time frame is the same. There's not much going on. It's just the same. So we have support here. We got resistance there. The price action is holding. But when it comes to foreign entry, there's nothing that we can really pinpoint here. You can get creative. I'm not all about getting creative. I'm not about looking for setups. The setup needs to be there. And this is me just trying to find something, and when you're trying to find something, it's not really the best time to enter a position. In this case, sure, maybe there will be something once it breaks this trend line. Maybe there will be an opportunity once it breaks down the horizontal level. At that point, probably it will be much better, but there's nothing right now. This is just massive consolidation. The intraday patterns are all over the place. There's no clear pattern anywhere. It's more of kind of this range. So this is chop. This is chop on a daily. It's chop on a weekly, and it's chop on the intraday charts. There is nothing here. The previous patterns, we looked at them. Beautiful candle, beautiful triangles. Let's look at it again. Beautiful triangle pattern. This is a totally different consolidation than what we're seeing on dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss is just all over the place, right? So this kind of thing, you just stay up. When you see that there is no confirmation, you cannot wait for confirmation. The confirmation here will be the break to the downside, right? So you can wait for that, and maybe at that point there'll be an opportunity. But see, again, you know exactly what to do. You find the levels, you figure out why it's consolidating, and then you try to find, okay, when it breaks this level, then it might be a potential entry, period. Not before, okay? After. Once that break happens, that's when it gives you confirmation. So that is it for this lesson, using multi-time frame analysis to confirm deceleration consolidation. I didn't talk much about confirming deceleration because we're going to be digging much more into that within the strategies themselves, okay? But confirming deceleration is simple. We looked at it in the previous example using multi-time frame analysis with pound dollar, right? The monthly chart was decelerating, and then in lower time frames, we're confirming that deceleration with bearish price action, right? The double top on a weekly, the triangle breakdown on a daily. So that's confirming deceleration. In this lesson, I wanted to focus more on consolidation because it's kind of a little bit much more complicated, okay? So I'll give you a few examples here. I hope that makes sense. Listen to it as many times as you need to, and I'll see you guys in the next lesson.